The stonework, absolutely unbelievable. I mean, how many people knew in this room that you had a hand-carved strawberry at each corner? Look at it. And it just hangs up there. It's a beautiful piece of architecture. All of this stonework, all the way around the building. But you can see right in here, deterioration. Deterioration. It needs to be taken care of. Next slide, please. This church, someone asked me what style of architecture. Well, this is a Greek architecture. It took a little digging to find that out. But what brought it to the forefront is these columns and these capitals on these columns. These are Ionic columns. Next slide, please. This is stonework that goes in an arch across the front of your building. Look at this front door and the stonework all the way around this front door. Next slide, please. There's a blow-up of that. Look at this detailing. Here and here. Beautiful, beautiful things that y'all have probably never seen. You've just lived here and never seen it. Next slide, please. Next slide. This cornice work around the outside, it needs a lot of repair work. Some places, the stones we even found where it was just deteriorated to a point it had fallen down. You can see these cracks developing. Next slide, please. These medallions are all over your building. You can actually see some that have been repeated on the inside in this room right here. But these are square medallions that are on the corners. Next slide, please. His word is directly above your front door. This stonework is all deteriorating in here. It needs to be taken care of. Next slide, please. Next slide. Next slide. See the cracks? Stones that are falling. The brickwork has little square patterns in it. The corner pieces. Next slide. And these columns and arches. We could build these again. I mean, if we wanted to build these type of arches and columns again, we could. Extremely expensive. And you've just got a bunch of them right out in front. Look at this column, capital. Next slide, please. So, the problems with this building are it needs to be taken care of. It needs a facelift. The biggest problem is when this building was built. Back in the 30s, I believe, 20s. The building codes back then, they really didn't have any building codes. We have building codes now that are volumes. And a building code grows sadly, by people dying. And when someone dies, we look at that situation and we try to incorporate that into the building code to make it a safer place for people. So this building has problems with the way it's built. Accessibility, fire egress, how you get people in and out, the fact that it's a wood building, it just simply could not be built again today. But we can make it safe. and we can solve the problems, and we can fix the architecture. It hasn't fallen apart completely. It just takes some work. So that's when I decided that it was time to think a little bit further beyond, and I requested that y'all go into this programming phase where you sat down and you dreamed and you put your thoughts down. And the reason for that is it's hard for me to just solve one little problem until I get a good picture of what this church wants to do over its lifetime, at least over the future of at least 20 years. And so I encouraged you to dream. I encouraged everyone to pray about it. And it was a wonderful experience to see all these great ideas that came forth. And then I had the task of trying to get all of those ideas into this building. I realized real quick that it would be impossible really for this size congregation to do it all at once. So I suggested that we phase this project into different projects so that you could take care of your big problems first and then work on some other problems later and then finally solve some of those other problems at the end. It might take 5 years, it might take 10, it might take 20. I don't know the answer to that. God knows the answer to that. He's already got that figured out. It's just y'all need to listen and see what He tells you to do. So these drawings that I'm going to show, some of them are color coordinated. If you see yellow, that means it's the first phase of construction, what we are recommending for you to do first. The blue is second phase, and green is the third phase. Could you put up the first set of slides? This is a little difficult to see on this screen. This is your existing building. Here's the sanctuary. Here's where I'm standing, right there. There's the room. There's your front steps. And then you can see the educational complex behind that kind of wraps around the building. We are looking at adding on to this building. And we're going to add in this direction, towards the parking lot. The reason that came forward is this corner of the building is one place where it hits all the levels. The basement, what I'm calling the first level, which, let me explain, is not really the first level. It's completely different level there than it is here, than it is there, than it is over there, which it is with down there. There's levels all over here for first level. I'd have no idea how a person in a wheelchair gets in here unless you physically carry them in. So that's the first level. And so we're designing in that way because I can get people that are having problems with mobility out of their cars. They don't have to get in through any steps. They can come in through this covered entrance, be either dropped off or park out there and walk in or be in their wheelchair and get into the building and come over and get to an elevator that goes to all the levels. The problem is that elevator has so many levels at different heights that it can't open with just one door on one side. It has one door that opens this way, then it goes up 6 feet, and it has a door that opens that way. If you had them open and all on the same side, when the door opened, there'd be a floor level right in your eye. So we had to design that elevator to go up and hit all the levels. The other thing we looked at was a fire stair. So if you look at this drawing over here,